The parents are getting contacted. They feel comfortable. They don't feel like they need to come to a conference because they just had one or they just talked to the teacher. They've worked out this problem. We have a student newspaper that we started last year called the Rebel Yell. It's been great. Students get some awesome writing opportunities. It's totally student done. I do have one teacher who sponsors it, but the students do all the writing. They do all the research. It's a great thing. It's been good for our community. People get to see it in the community. We're not really at a place where we can publish it outside of the school, but we do send it home to parents. Grandparents see it. Kids see it. Kids love seeing their name in print, especially when they're the one that wrote the article. We developed a business partnership with Honda Lock. Anybody familiar with Honda Locks? They make locks for Hondas. They do, really. They're great. Now we have a Honda plant in Tallapoosa, but that's not the plant we partner with. We partner with the plant in Bremen, which is kind of funny because if you know anything about Haralson County, Bremen is in Haralson County, but it's a city school system. You know, we're kind of the county, city. So when we went over there and got a partnership with their plant, that was awesome for me. Love that. And that's been very fruitful. They've allowed us to tour their facilities, take our 8th graders over there, start talking to them about careers that they can actually do without moving to Atlanta. We developed our Facebook page this year. I invite you all to go to it. You can't leave any nasty little comments on it because I think I got it fixed. But that's been a great thing for parents to go to. It's not like, we don't put our Facebook page together the way most people do. You know, when you have your Facebook page, a lot of people put all their information and all their pictures, and they get on there and they put little quotes, intriguing things that other people said to express their feelings, and we don't do that. Really, our Facebook page is just a few pictures and information updates. The main thing is it is a link to our website where all the real stuff is. Because everybody's got a Facebook page, but a lot of parents won't really go out of their way to go to, Haralson County Schools, click on the school link and go straight to it. They're already on Facebook. If they like us, they get the updates. If they really want to see something or go to our website, 2 clicks away. Very simple. We started a Twitter. Anybody here got Twitter? Yeah, I thought so. I'll tell you about how Twitter didn't work in a minute, but we did it. And we got Lipped and the cafe, which I'm going to let Cheryl tell you a little bit about.
Do any of you have a LIP, Local Interagency Planning Team? Are you familiar with that in your county, district? Anything? All right, it's not school affiliated, it's the Local Interagency Planning Team. It's made up of local agencies, and they deal with students or youth who are at risk for not being successful in the community. Youth who have been incarcerated or who have been sent to a residential facility for mental or behavioral health issues. And I became active in LIPT when I first took this job about 3 years ago, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago, because our social worker was doing LIPT, but it became more and more apparent that with students with disabilities, if you work with students with disabilities, if you have anything to do with student placement in special education, you know that there tends to be this thought process that you can just say, well, this kid needs special ed, and they're in special ed. It's not the way it works, and judges can't court order it. DFACs can't say it has to happen, and they needed somebody to go to the LIPT meetings or LIPT meetings and just, help work through the process. So I go to the LIPT meetings, and unfortunately we do have a lot of students at the middle school and at the high school, they're mostly middle and high school level, who are either incarcerated or have been in a residential treatment facility. And I work with Wynn, Georgia, Inner Harbor, different places like that to make sure that students will get wraparound services and be successful when they come back into the community. If a student is coming out of an RYDC placement, a youth detention center placement or a residential treatment facility placement, when they come back into the school setting, I work with the principal to make sure that that student is going to get what they need. Whether they're coming from a violent or aggressive behavior, whether it's drug addiction. Sometimes we can face issues with sexual abuse or being a sexual predator. Whatever the issues are, it's my job on the LIP team, particularly at this point from the special education perspective, to work on the IEPs and to help those parents who are there at LIP and to come back and work with the administrators to make sure that any child who's transitioning out of a program or back into the community is assimilated back into the school system appropriately and in the best possible environment and the least restrictive environment. So I encourage you, if you don't have anybody working with the LIPT team or LIPT team in your area, that you get somebody involved to make sure, because if you don't know who's coming out of those facilities, you need to know, because that's not a nice surprise to have, and we've had it happen.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that from my perspective, if you don't have somebody from your school or district go into these meetings, somebody needs to. Because, and it's not just because of that, because it serves the kid most effectively. Because when they walk into their probation officer's office and they tell them that every problem in their life is your fault, he might believe that. And it's just nice to have everybody in the same room coming together to talk about who's serving this kid and how they're serving this kid, so that you don't duplicate things and you don't miss stuff and you don't overlap and nobody can play the blame game. Because I've seen a court order for somebody to be put on special ed. Some doctors think they can prescribe it. I've seen that prescription. I'm not kidding. I'm sure some of you have too. I'm sorry, Sheriff.
That's quite all right. And the other thing that it does, if you have a representative in that LIPT meeting, you have a relationship. You've got a friend. You have built parental engagement, because that parent will call that person if there's a problem. If that child gets 10-13 that night, that parent is going to reach out to that person they know. I'll get a call first thing the next morning. If they don't call me that night, they'll call me first thing the next morning and say, my child got 10-13 last night. So you need, if you work with middle and high school students who are at risk, and most of them are, you need that kind of relationship with parents. The CAFE program. This is through the Parent Mentor Partnership, and we'll talk about that more when we get to panel.